No wonder that in 2021, San Francisco issued only 2,000 permits for new homes. Sure, there are people living in the streets, but that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now. I heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated. San Francisco, the city's so nice you'll step in poop twice. It's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system, $1.7 million for one toilet.
It's no surprise that in 2021, San Francisco gave out only about 2,000 permits for new housing. Now, here's the big point. Maher has come out and criticized Gavin Newsom for damaging California. This is surprising because Maher has often supported the California governor before, even while criticizing the state strongly at times. Maher explains that heavy regulations and very high taxes are hurting California badly. According to him, these rules are making life difficult for people and businesses. His criticism was sharp, direct, and even funny at times. So, make sure to subscribe, get ready, and let's dive into it.
Vast network of regulators, administrators, inspectors, contract reviewers, project managers, fee assessors, special commissioners, zoning officers, and consultants whose jobs seem to be to make sure nothing ever happens and then charge you for it. The people who answer the phone, "Permit office, how may I hinder you?"
Maher criticizes the California government for constantly creating new agencies, offices, and task forces that don't actually solve problems. Instead of fixing real issues, they keep adding more layers of bureaucracy, which slows everything down. People who live in California can clearly see how complicated things have become. Even a simple task like fixing a garage door can turn into a big problem. You may need 2 or 3 permits, with paperwork, fees, inspections, and long waiting times. Something that should take a few hours can end up taking weeks or even months. This is what frustrates Maher. He says the problem is not just inconvenience, but a system that makes things harder for ordinary people while government departments keep growing. The more agencies they create, the less efficient the system becomes.
It feels like San Francisco is actually proud of being impossible. Asked about the toilet, a spokesman for the Department of Public Works said, "We are a city of public input." Okay, but I'm stepping in public output. Meanwhile, the median time to get approval to build a house there is 627 days. That's 217 days longer than it took to build the Empire State Building. You need 87 permits, 15 from the Planning Commission, 26 from the Public Utilities Commission and the Fire Department, 19 from building inspectors, 17 from the Public Works, 10 related to public spaces, and 1 from a guy in a t-shirt that says Federal Boob Inspector.
Now look at how difficult it is to build a house in San Francisco. What should be a simple process becomes very complicated. Before construction even starts, builders must go through many approvals, environmental checks, public hearings, design reviews, and compliance rules. Each step costs money and time. There are fees, delays, and consultants involved in every stage. By the time all permits are approved, builders may have already spent around 80% of their total budget, and construction hasn't even started yet. Maher says this is a major reason why housing is so expensive in San Francisco. It's not just about supply and demand. The system itself makes building so expensive that only rich developers can afford it.
15% of workers in America work for the government. That's 24 million people with one shared vision: to fine you if your mailbox is too big. They say a conservative is a liberal who just got mugged, but it could also be a liberal who just got cock-blocked trying to remodel a porch. Oh, yeah. Or got a parking ticket because their car was facing out instead of in. Last year, Wyoming began construction on the largest wind farm in North America. that will power 2 million homes in Arizona, Nevada, and California. And to think it only took 18 years. Not to build it, to approve it. 18 backlogged, knuckle-dragging, pencil-pushing, thumb-twaddling, ball-scratching years.
Here's another example. It took 18 years just to approve a wind power project that would bring energy from Wyoming to California. Think about that for a moment. At a time when leaders talk about climate change and urgent action, a clean energy project was stuck for nearly 2 decades. It went through years of reviews, meetings, legal challenges, and delays before it could even begin. By the time it was approved, technology had already improved and costs had increased a lot. This shows the contradiction. Leaders talk about clean energy, but the system makes it extremely hard to actually build it.
There's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system, $1.7 million for one toilet. And this wasn't some magic toilet that catches your phone when you drop it. So then a private company took pity on San Francisco and offered to build them their toilet for free. But after, quote, project management, construction management, architecture and engineering fees, permits, civic design review, surveys, contract preparation, and cost estimation, the free toilet was still going to cost almost $1 million.
Ma also talks about a famous example involving a public toilet project in San Francisco. It was supposed to be a simple and helpful solution, but it turned into a clear example of government inefficiency. The project spent almost $1 million on planning, consulting, and administration. Architects were hired, committees were created, and many reviews were done. But after all that spending, Ma asks a simple question. Was the toilet ever built? The answer is no. Not even one working facility was completed.
Maher estimates that if the red tape could be cut on everything that's currently stuck in the renewable queue, the United States would be 80% zero carbon in 7 years. The enemy to clean air isn't just big oil, it's big permitting. It's not that America isn't able to get anything done, it's that we're not allowed to. Of course, there should be consideration of the environment on everything we build, but as so often happens on the left, they seem to have no ability to recognize when they've taken a concept way too far and are in fact hurting their own cause.
Bureaucracy exists in every state, whether controlled by Democrats or Republicans. But California seems to go too far. The state keeps adding more regulations, taxes, and rules, making it very expensive to run a business. Newsom even suggested a special tax on oil company profits. At the same time, people in California already pay very high gas prices because of environmental rules and taxes. Big companies like Phillips 66 and Valero have even thought about shutting down or leaving the state. This shows how strict rules can push businesses away.
Come Gulliver, the giant that got tied down with 1,000 tiny ropes by Lilliputians, the horde of little people who do big damage. Build back better? Sounds good. So does shovel-ready jobs. Yeah, exactly. As Barack Obama once said, one of the biggest lessons he learned as president was there is no such thing as shovel-ready projects. Environmental impact statements used to be a few pages long. Now they're thousands of pages of legalistic nonsense and take an average of 4.5 years to complete, with thousands of bureaucrats filling out millions of paper forms that kill hundreds of forests to answer the question, is this good for the environment?
Ma uses a powerful example from the story of Gulliver. He compares leaders to Gulliver being tied down by many small ropes. Each rope is small, but together they stop him completely. In the same way, each rule or regulation may seem small and harmless, but when thousands of them are added together, they create a system that is very slow and difficult to manage. Over time, These small rules build up and make it almost impossible for the government to work efficiently or quickly.
Living in the streets. But that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now.
Ma believes that Gavin Newsom and his team cannot think in new ways to fix these problems. Instead of simplifying things, they keep adding more rules, more departments, and more layers of control. California has plenty of ideas and resources, but the problem is leadership. Leaders are not willing to reduce the complexity of the system. Every new solution ends up making things more complicated instead of easier.
Not that there was ever any reason to build it in the first place, and not that there would be any reason to do it again. But just as an exercise in realizing how far we've regressed as the can-do people, I think we should all try to imagine how it will go down if we tried to sculpt Mount Rushmore out of a mountain today. First, we'd have to make the mountain handicap accessible, so we could hire handicapped people to work on the side of a mountain. Then there'd be a 10-year delay while we studied the effect of construction noise on the mating habits of woodchucks. Then another 10 years to obtain ethically sourced dynamite and find a sculptor who doesn't only work from home. And then another 2 years to apologize for being on Indian land.
Ma also makes a joke about building Mount Rushmore today. He says that if such a project started now, it would face endless delays. There would be environmental studies, lawsuits, public debates, and many government approvals. Costs would rise into billions of dollars before any real work even begins. The project wouldn't fail because of engineering challenges. It would fail because of paperwork and bureaucracy.
Regulations that aren't necessary. I mean, you really don't believe that the state we live in, California, is lacking regulation. There's over 300,000 regulations. I mean,
Well, maybe they're needed.
They're not. When I tried to put in a garage door, I had to have 3 inspections. There should have been none. I should be allowed to change my garage door.
Are you kidding? Really? It was about a garage door?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. That is...
No, you know this about California. Come
No,
on.
I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry. I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism.
In the end, Ma's message is serious. He says the system talks a lot about progress, but fails to deliver real results. From complicated permits to delayed projects and wasted money, California has resources and talent, but it is stuck in too much red tape. Ma believes that if leaders don't simplify the system and remove unnecessary rules, the problems will only get worse. It won't be a mystery. It will be caused by their own decisions. And that's the end of the video. If you liked it, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.